Hey guys, Tony from Maryland and Delaware Herping here, and welcome to our winter format. As I explained to you in the past two episodes, in northeastern Maryland, it is entirely too cold to do any type of herping, so we're resorting to looking at my pets and seeing what other people have in captivity right now, and what works for some people might not work for others, and we're just going to see what pets are right for you. So past 2 weeks we did my western hognose snake, and then we did the eastern rat snake, both snakes that I own. And most people that know me think that I only own snakes, and that's not true. I recently purchased a pet lizard. I'm going to show you that lizard in a minute. And by recently I mean over the summer, back in July. And this is the first lizard to my collection. It will not be the last. I'm looking to get into other stuff, but this one was pretty good, and it probably comes to no surprise because this is a lot of people's first lizard purchase. So here we go. This here is Tangerine. Everybody calls her Tangie, and she is a leopard gecko. Now, even though I consider myself an intermediate herper / reptile keeper, I'm obviously a beginner with lizards because I've never owned one before, so I didn't want to just go purchase a Nile monitor right away. But these guys might be like the more popular beginner reptile for pretty much anybody. I mean, all across the country. They just have great temperaments. They're pretty easy to keep, and they're beautiful. So yeah, this was my first lizard purchase ever. I don't know why. I mean, I just always owned snakes, and I've always loved lizards, but I just never thought about owning one. And I was like, if I'm going to add something to my, herp collection next, why don't I try with a lizard, and why don't I try with something that has a good track record for not being extremely difficult to keep, and that's one thing that makes these guys so popular. They definitely require care, but it's not anything overly expensive. So, past couple weeks, what we've done is we've broken things down into 3 categories. We've talked about temperament, feeding, and cost. So we're going to go over all 3 with these guys. Now, Tangie here, obviously, as mentioned earlier, that's short for Tangerine. Was not my idea. My girlfriend decided to name her, but Tangie's a cute name. So, first thing we'll talk about is handleability, which, like I said, I think these guys get an A+ for. I mean, you can see they're not extremely skittish. She can be a little bit skittish at times, but most of the time she'll just hang out. Sometimes she'll want to explore and climb all over me. They will hold on to you. I mean, they're not expert climbers, but they definitely, they can hang on. One of the main things to be careful about, it's not that you're going to get bit or anything. I mean, they can bite, and they do have strong jaws, but I've never had her bite me, and they generally don't. This big, beautiful tail here, they have that because where they come from, they live in a more desert environment that maybe doesn't have as much water. So kind of similar to a camel's hump. They store fat in there, and it allows them to stay hydrated in pretty rough environments. So, but one big thing about it is you don't want to grab them by that tail, because like a lot of other lizard species, they can drop it, and where they will grow it back, still you want to try to avoid that. It's not good for the lizard. It's not cool to see. So do your best. If you have to pick them up, try to pick them up in the midsection here, and then put them in your hand right away. But other than that, for handleability, you can take these guys out. A lot of times they'll hang out right on your shoulder. They'll crawl behind your back. Come here. There you go. But like I said, I love these guys. So handleability, they're perfect. When it comes to feeding, that's pretty simple too. These guys are carnivorous, and even more than that, they are insectivores. So they're going to be eating nothing but bugs and insects. So crickets, mealworms. I feed her mainly mealworms, and then on top of that, I well, every now and then I'll do think they're called super worms, or the green worms. You'll have to look up exactly what they're called. But or hornworms, that's what they're called. Jeez, green worms. But they're kind of expensive, so those are more of a treat. But mealworms, she loves. You do have to gut load your food. So if you get crickets or mealworms, you got to put some veggies in there. And dust them with calcium powder. That's a big one. And you should put a little bit of extra calcium powder in their bowl. And a lot of times they'll go and just lick it out of there. Stuttered right there. But yeah, that's it for feeding. Nothing too special. Like I said, just make sure they got plenty of insects, worms, crickets, whatever you got. And give them treats every now and then, like the big hornworms, because they like that stuff too, and it keeps them healthy. And until these guys, once they're adults, and she's almost at adulthood, she's got some little bit of growing left to do. You don't have to feed them every day, but I usually give her about 6 to 8 mealworms every other day, and she does just fine with that. If I feed her every day, she'll leave them a few left over, and they end up drying out in her dish, so then she doesn't want to eat them at all. So I'll try to nip that in the bud. But our third category of cost, these guys are very affordable. The lizard itself, I think I purchased her for like $30, $35 maybe. And they could probably be cheaper than that at times. I mean, maybe for some specific morphs you could pay more. But, I mean, the lizard itself, like I said, you can get them for very cheap. Now, the enclosure, that's a different story. You are going to need quite a few things, but even still, for a lot of lizard species, it's nothing too crazy, So let's take a look at what I'm keeping her in right now. So this is just a pretty simple 20-gallon enclosure here. I've got that desert picture. It's on the back so that it doesn't get wet and mold and everything. But you can see most of the cage here is hides, rocks. I mean, they'll get out and walk around, but they do like to remain hidden because they are nocturnal. But I've got some, aquarium carpet right there. Back there, I've got a jar that's kind of disguised / stuffed with dampened sphagnum moss. She uses that for a moist hide. Water bowl, food / vitamin bowl. I usually put her worms in there. That's her main hide because that's her heated hide right there. I have the heat mat under there. I've got this light, but that's mainly just to, go through a day and night cycle. It really doesn't let off too much heat. And these are some cool hides over here, especially for at nighttime. Try to keep them hidden. Like I said, that one's more exposed, but that's why I got the rocks there. But yeah, nothing simple. 20 gallons. Pretty affordable. See, 20-gallon enclosure. Maybe you can go bigger if you want to. Plenty of hides, food, water, heat source, especially in their one hide because they like to heat up during the day. And they are nocturnal, so they're going to be hiding out in like cave crevices. So you want to kind of simulate that environment. But other than that, I think these guys are great. Great to handle, good eaters, and not extremely expensive. So I would love to own more of these guys in the future, and I think I will. Geckos are awesome, and I think these guys are by far the coolest. So what do you say? Go buy a leopard gecko. Get one just like Tangie. Say bye, Tangie. See you next week. Thanks for watching, guys.